Is this actually a green technology we're looking at?
Yes, absolutely. We get a 20% reduction in CO2 emissions.
BC's new plan to cut emissions adds up to dollar signs for this Vancouver company. Their technology already runs tens of thousands of trucks and buses on natural gas rather than diesel.
That engine has really taken that industry, and now about half of all of the garbage trucks that are sold in North America use natural gas, and in many, many cases it's renewable natural gas from the landfills.
That kind of change, good for the environment and the economy, is central to BC's plan. Arthur says governments around the world are forcing companies to cut CO2 levels.
So this is creating a massive requirement to change the technologies we use in transportation, and will lead us to much lower emissions, much cleaner future.
Today's plan will also force builders to construct homes that use next to no energy by the year 2032. And drivers will eventually only be allowed to buy zero-emission vehicles.
This is an environment plan, it's a climate plan, but it's also an economic strategy for British Columbia going forward.
While it's cutting CO2 in some areas, BC is still making room for a huge expansion of natural gas exports, which will generate millions of tons of new emissions. In addition, 25% of the reductions are to come from sources that still haven't been identified. Despite those concerns, BC's leading environmental groups are largely on side.
Historically, governments have been abysmal at fulfilling their promises on climate change, and I think that's what's really important about this plan is that it has accountability measures.
Today's plan also makes it clear who will lose: people who drive large gas-guzzling vehicles and those living in older, less energy-efficient homes. Other provinces will now be watching this BC experiment very closely to see whether it's possible to create a low-carbon economy without a high amount of pain. Greg Rasmussen, CBC News, Vancouver.